മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ അവസരം തന്ന പ്രിയപ്പെട്ട നീലിമ ടീച്ചർക്ക് 1000 നന്ദിയുടെ നറുമലരുകൾ അർപ്പിക്കുന്നു. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ഇങ്ങനെ അവസരം ഒരുക്കി തന്ന ഇതിന്റെ മാവേലിക്കര ബിഷപ്പ് മോർ കോളേജിലെ അധികാരികൾ, ഇതിന്റെ മറ്റ് സംഘാടകർ, അവരോടുള്ള നന്ദിയും ഇവിടെ കുറിക്കുന്നു. മറ്റൊന്ന്, ഈ ക്ലാസ് കേട്ടിരുന്ന എൻ്റെ സുഹൃത്തുക്കളായ ബഹുമാന്യരായ പഠിതാക്കളായ അധ്യാപകർക്കുള്ള നന്ദിയും ഹൃദയത്തിന്റെ ഭാഷയിൽ അവതരിപ്പിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് ഇത്തരം ക്ലാസുകൾ ഇനിയും ഉണ്ടാവട്ടെ, അങ്ങനെ നമ്മുടെ വർത്തക വ്യതിയാനങ്ങൾ പരിഷ്കരിക്കപ്പെടട്ടെ എന്ന് ആത്മാർത്ഥമായി ആശംസിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് നിർത്തുന്നു. നന്ദി, നമസ്കാരം.
ഞാൻ ലീവ് ചെയ്തോട്ടെ മിസ്സേ?
ഓക്കേ ടീച്ചർ. ഓക്കേ,
താങ്ക് യു
വെരി മച്ച്.
ടീച്ചർ അടുത്ത സെഷൻ തുടങ്ങിയല്ലേ?
തുടങ്ങാം സർ. ഓക്കേ. I welcome all to the second session of the 8th day of online faculty development program. This session is handled by respected Professor A.K. Bakshi sir, who is the Chief Patron of FTP, also Vice Chancellor of PDM University and Chairman GAD TLC. Anandrat sir.
मित्रों, सभी को नमस्कार। हम सब जिसकी प्रतीक्षा कर रहे थे, विद्या और शोध क्षेत्र के कुलपति, सुप्रसिद्ध अधिकारी विद्वान प्रोफेसर A.K. बख्शी साहब, हम सबके सौभाग्य से राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति NEP इस महत्वपूर्ण विषय में उद्बोधन करने के लिए उपस्थित है। आपका हम सहर्ष स्वागत करें। I invite Dr. Mary P. Taragan from English Department, Catholicate HSS, Pathanamthitta, to welcome Dr. A.K. Bakshi sir on behalf of the multidisciplinary FDP team. Dr. Mary P. Taragan.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, you are audible.
Yes, thank you. First of all, I'd like to make a correction. I am not Dr. Mary Philippos Taragan. I am just Mary Philippos Taragan. I have not submitted any PhD thesis. So please stand corrected. I'm just Mary Philippos Taragan. Good morning, everybody. It is indeed a privilege to do the honors of welcoming Professor Dr. A.K. Bakshi to our midst this morning to the faculty development program conducted by Mavelikara Bishop Moore College in association with MHRD and Agra St. John's College. It is known to everybody that Professor Bakshi was our guest of honor during the opening function of this program. To give you all a detailed verbal introduction to Professor Bakshi would take up more time than the time scheduled for him to speak. So I have taken the liberty of preparing a short presentation on this renowned personality's profile. We will now take a look at that profile. Sudha ma'am, could you present it? Thank you, teacher. I'd like to add that last year, Dr. Bakshi was felicitated virtually on 29th August 2020 with the Acharya Shikshavid Samman to 2020 and also with the International Public Figure Award 2020. Today, he will be talking to us about achieving excellence in the 21st century, challenges and opportunities. A hearty welcome to you, sir. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Mary, for taking all the trouble to prepare my profile. I'm really impressed by that. Ladies and gentlemen, it's indeed a great privilege to have got this opportunity to address all of you. As a matter of fact, I'm speaking on a topic which is going to be of great interest to each one of you. And the topic is achieving excellence in higher education in India in the 21st century, challenges and opportunities. So this is the title of my talk. Before I start my talk, let me share my screen, please. Please confirm, is my screen visible and am I audible, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank
You
you.
can see
Thank
and
you very
audible.
much. Thank you. So this is the title of my talk, Achieving Excellence in Higher Education in India in the 21st Century, Challenges and Opportunities. You know, we all are in the teaching profession and everybody aspires to excel in this profession. And one tries also, but sometimes we are not able to achieve success because we may not be knowing the right strategy, what all we should do. There is no doubt that everybody learns from one's own mistakes. But the prudence demands that one should also learn from the mistakes of others, experience of others, thinking of others. Because you may not or we may not live long enough to make all mistakes on ourselves. So keeping that point in mind, which is as quoted by Chanakya, this talk basically will tell you what all you need to do to excel in higher education. Because the secret of success is to be ready when your opportunity comes. So you should make preparations well in advance. Don't wait till the last minute. Now, the first question which will come to your mind is, what do I mean by excellence in higher education? That could be one question. See, if you look at the roles of a teacher in higher education, they are mainly disseminating knowledge, that is teaching, creating knowledge, that is research and guiding research, then academic administration and management. And one is expected to excel in all these three roles. If you want to be an outstanding teacher or a researcher, please remember that you should have a very sound and deep knowledge in your discipline. You should have clarity of concepts. And your teaching should indicate the amount of thinking you have done on the subject. So this is very essential. And please remember, this cannot be done in one day. You should start practicing it if you don't have already all this. And if you want to be an outstanding researcher, you should be an out-of-box thinker. Then you should be innovative and creative. And then I have written here 4 C's. 4 C's, I mean curiosity, creativity, courage, and commitment. These 4 things are very much required for excellence in research. After all, why do we do research? It's either for knowledge and understanding, discovering and verifying new facts, supporting truth and proving lies, and developing new scientific things, and aiding in business success. So all these are the reasons why do we do research. Please remember, whenever you do research, do it with an open mind. If you believe too much, you will never notice the flaws. And if you doubt too much, then you will never get started. So this is the mindset you should have while doing the research. And then, for an outstanding teacher and a researcher, you should have excellent communication and presentation skills. As you know, no one will really take the listen to your ideas unless and until your communication is effective and impressive. Presentation is what you say, while communication is how you say it. And you need to excel in both of them. Because, effective presentation can do wonders and captivate the audience. Communication and presentation skills are very important soft skills, which can be a big asset in any profession, more so in the teaching profession. And please remember, all great speakers were bad speakers at first. Don't forget that. So you have to work for that. But it should start right now. Second point which I want to tell is the career management in higher education. For excellence in higher education, you need to know how to manage your career. Career management is very, very important. And career management involves 2 things: career growth and career development. Career growth is when you strive for a higher position than your current position. You are assistant professor, you want to become associate, or you want to become principal, or professor, or director, or vice chancellor. So you focus on those goals, and it is highly strategic. Whereas career development, you improve the knowledge, skills, and talent within your current role. So it focuses on how to achieve these goals. And this brings about a transformation in you because of this knowledge, skills, talent, etc. For example, this program is a career or a faculty development program. So you will learn a lot. And please remember, career development or professional development is a journey and not a destination. It's not that once you have done 1 or 2 or 3 programs, that's over. It should be a regular process. And let me tell you, you have to become the CEO of your career destiny. You only have to do that. Because even if now you have all what I have said so far, still sometimes you may not be successful in life because you may not be having the right personality. I think we sometimes undermine the importance of personality. This is very, very important for success in life. You know, it is said that 87% of all people fail not because of capability, but because of personality. So personality can do wonders. And one thing you should remember, the difference between being mediocre and achieving excellence is ultimately you only. You can do anything. So this is one point which you have to keep it in mind. One more point which I want to tell you is about the current higher education scenario in India. You know, India has one of the largest system of higher education in the world. As you can see here, we have about 993 universities, about 50,000 colleges, 1.4 million teachers, and 37.4 million students. So there has been a considerable growth since independence. And you can also see that your competition is within these 1.4 million teachers. And most of the teachers are at lower level, assistant professor at present. So competition is relatively more at lower level. And as you go higher and higher, there are not many people to compete. So you should try to excel from the very beginning. You should have an ample appetite for success in life. So this is one point you have to keep it in mind. And now if we have so many universities and colleges, and if you look at our ranking, QS World University Rankings 2021, the top position is by IIT Bombay with 172 position. And the only university which comes close to 500th is University of Delhi. So why we are not having such a good ranking? If you look at the criteria which is used in international ranking, all this is the criteria. So one of the reasons why our institutions do not do very well in world ranking is that quality of our research programs is not very good. It's rather poor. No doubt there are some peaks of excellence here and there, but in general, we are not having a research culture in our university. People do research only for promotion. They don't want really to do research. They have not been formally trained, I feel. And this is a serious drawback in our system. Look at the fact that India has the third largest scientific and technical manpower in the world. Even publications wise, we are number 3, as you can see here, after China and United States. But this was a report which recently came in Times of India that out of the 4,000 most cited researchers in the world, only 10 are from India out of 4,000. That is 0.25%. Whereas China had 482, UK had 546, and United States had 2,639. So we had only 10. So that is that the quality of our research work needs to be improved. That's the message. These are the 10 people, which includes Professor Sienna Rao. Now I will come to what are the challenges in the 21st century which you are likely to face if you really want to excel in higher education. First challenge is, I personally feel there is a crisis of innovation and creativity in India. you all agree that creativity means conceiving new idea. Innovation means implementing that idea to create new product, etc. So creativity is the pillar of innovation, and innovation is the key to any nation's development. If you look at these people, these are, very well-known people, and what they did, everything started from an idea. And these are some of the modern innovators: Apple, Facebook, Microsoft. And look at this. All this also started ultimately with an idea. Why could we not do all this? That's the question. In India, if you look at the thing, I would say that there is a crisis of creativity. There is a dearth of creative minds. For example, no Indian scientist working in India has been able to get Nobel Prize after 1930. C.V. Raman was the only person who got Nobel Prize in 1930 for his discovery of Raman effect. After that, nobody working in India. These people got, but then they were non-resident Indians. Even, Amartya Sen, who got Nobel Prize in economics, is although an Indian, but for most of the time he had been working abroad. Even Abhijit Banerjee is an American citizen. So what I want to tell you is that please keep it in mind that Nobel Prize is not a lifetime achievement award. It's not that you have 1,000 publications, you will get Nobel Prize. It's for a breakthrough which opens entirely new vistas for humanity. And if you want to excel in research at that level, you need many things. One is perseverance and resilience. This is very important. We in India want immediate gains. That's sometimes not possible. I remember year before last, the Nobel Prize winner in chemistry was 97-year-old. Just imagine. Then you need enormous amount of creativity and open-mindedness. And this cannot come in one day. It has to be nurtured since childhood. And then, we sometimes prefer to work in isolation. No, there is a need to collaborate. We need to build more bridges rather than walls. So what I want to say is, all this is not in our country because of our education system. So what is the fundamental flaw in our education system? Where are we going wrong? Let's look at this video.
For decades, people have been finding hundreds of flaws in the education system. No conceptual understanding, no creativity, children are stressed, and the list goes on. All these are symptoms, but what is the root cause to all this? What is the fundamental flaw in the education system? Let us play a rapid-fire game. You have 1 second to answer every question. Let's start. First question, A4? Okay, no more questions. Did you think Apple first? 98% of people are most likely to think so. Because that was what we were told in our kindergarten. Imagine that this was done differently. Say we had asked you for all the words starting with A. Ant, ace, April, apt. Different answers would have popped out of everyone's head. Do you see where the problem is? Before children start going to school, every child is unique. Every child thinks different. But the education system makes every child think the same. This is the fundamental flaw in the education system. Why did this start? During the Industrial Revolution in the 18th century, the education system was designed to make children ready to work in factories. The factories did not require people to think, but to only work like robots. So, the education system stripped children of their freedom to think and destroyed their true potential. The same education system continues even today. Only the industries have changed. A study by NASA shows that 98% of children think different before they start going to school. As they go through this education system, at 25 years of age, only 2% think different and 98% think the same. So how does the education system make every child the same? Let's go back to the apple example. Kindergarten lessons told us that A is for apple. We asked you for words that start with A. Our education system gave us the answers. We asked you a question. Answers make you the same. Questions make you different. Right from kindergarten, the education system keeps giving answers. Instead of asking children how plants make food, the science teacher gives you the definition of photosynthesis. Instead of asking them to describe the sun, the teacher tells them that the sun is a ball of fire at the center of the solar system. Through their years in school, children lose the capability to think on their own. Whether it is their choice of career or their relationship or any situation in life, they become.
So you can see that how our education system strips the children of their ability to think on their own. And if that is the case, how can we expect them to become creative? So our education system does not encourage thinking, innovation, and creativity amongst the students. Please remember, students may be 25% of our population, but then they are 100% of our future. Education is not the learning of the facts, but the training of the mind to think. Children need to be taught how to think and not what to think. And if there is no creativity, there cannot be any progress. And we would be forever repeating the same pattern. Nothing. And creativity is not something like an injection which you give to someone. You have to create an appropriate environment for curiosity and a way to encourage people and get the best out of them. Without innovation, we cannot advance. This was my recent article in Times of India's Education Times about the creativity crisis in the Indian education system. Second challenge before you is from the growth of knowledge. The knowledge in all disciplines is growing very, very fast. As a result, the doubling time of the growth of scientific knowledge has shrunk considerably. At one stage, it used to be 150 years. But now this doubling time of growth of knowledge has shrunk to 73 days. And please remember, what we know is only a drop, and what we do not know is an ocean. And because of this growth in knowledge, research in frontier areas is becoming more and more challenging because literature is becoming very vast. And then how do we tell to our future generations? This is only possible when we incorporate this new knowledge in our education system, in our curriculum. This is very important. Third challenge is that we need some reforms in education system in India. We need to have light syllabi, not heavy, so that there is ample time for thinking. We may include only core essentials, but the syllabi should be modern because knowledge is growing very, very fast. Otherwise, what will happen? There is going to be a gap between what is learned and what should be learned. And this will affect research later on. Second component is teaching and learning. This is a very important component. Unfortunately, we still focus on examination, rote learning, and scoring high marks. This is today's reality in every discipline. Nobody wants to learn the concepts. Everybody wants to score 90 plus marks. Students' mark sheet has become a prestige sheet for the family, but a pressure sheet for the child. Very unfortunate. Even our experimental work in schools or universities is of poor quality. Too many compartments. We teach subjects in isolation as if they have no bearing on others. We need to build more bridges and not walls. Third is the transforming the culture of assessment. We need to transform that because assessment drives learning. The way you will assess your students will start learning in that way. So it's a good way to enhance the quality of education in the country. Assessment process needs to be made more scientific to encourage multiple skills of the student, not merely rote learning. So this is, these types of reforms are required in our education system. After all, what a student needs for success in the 21st century is disciplinary knowledge and skills, skilled communication, out-of-box thinking, critical thinking and problem-solving skills, sense of inquiry, that is inquisitiveness, then data analyzing abilities, team player, digital literacy, ethical awareness, and lifelong learning attitude. This is what a student needs. So we need to prepare them for all this in the 21st century. Please remember our practical bottom line is creative thinking. By creative thinking, I mean the connection of previously unconnected thoughts. And then creativity is actually doing something with those thoughts. And innovation is when some value is captured via that creative activity. So these three things are linked. Please remember, we are living in an age of uncertainty. According to the World Economic Forum report in 2019, 65% of the children entering primary school in 2019 will be working in jobs that don't even exist right now. So if that is the situation, we need to, inculcate these skills which I mentioned in our students. And are we prepared to do that? That's the point. So this is a challenge. Another challenge is need to embrace technology and become tech savvy. Technology is going to play a major role in enhancing the quality of education in the 21st century. ICT, what is ICT after all? ICT is an umbrella term that encompasses all communication technologies that provide access to information. It's whether internet, wireless network, satellite communications, cell phone, or digital TV, all come under ICT. And ICT is impacting all areas of higher education. Look at this, whether it is teaching learning, it is coming through e-learning and MOOCs, revision of syllabi, through e-learning, mails, discussion forum, then research through electronic databases, professional development, all have been impacted. And you all know very well that MOOCs are now, e-learning and MOOCs have become the buzzwords. So many MOOCs have been developed. At present, more than 2,000 MOOCs have been developed in India, and they are hosted on this SWAYAM platform. Our center, Guru Angad Dev Teaching Learning Center, itself has prepared 50 MOOCs, the maximum by any single institute in the country. Ultimately, the vision is SWAYAM will be like ATL, anytime learning for MOOCs, just as we have ATM for money. And this is a report in Education Times about our development of MOOCs, massive learning. Then ICT is also coming in a very big way in the professional development. You know, professional development has long been there. Earlier, there used to be academic staff colleges. Then came human resource development centers. Now we have Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya National Mission on Teachers and Teaching Centers, like Guru Angad Dev Teaching Learning Center, and then online programs have come. So government has already launched a scheme called ARPIT. Actually, government has created many national resource centers in the country. And each national resource center has been given one discipline to develop online refresher program. So this is actually ARPIT program, annual refresher program in teaching. Our Guru Angad Dev Teaching Learning Center is basically also the National Resource Center of Chemistry. The focus of these programs is on the latest developments in that subject, then new and emerging areas, and also on pedagogical innovations and methodologies for transacting curricula more effectively. So all this is being done by ARPIT programs. So you can see how technology is changing the entire higher education scenario. So you need to embrace technology and become tech savvy. See, our ARPIT program in chemistry has been rated as one of the best in the country. Just watch its introductory video. This is just an introductory video of our ARPIT program in chemistry.
Hello everyone, myself Dr. Vimal Raj and I am the coordinator of National Resource Center of Chemistry of MHRD Government of India at SCTB Khalsa College, University of Delhi.
And myself, Professor A.K. Bakshi. We welcome you all to the ARPIT 2019, which is going to provide you a unique opportunity to learn as per your convenience. For this online refresher course, we have selected a variety of interesting and exciting topics.
So that these are useful for all the UG and PG chemistry teachers of our country, irrespective of their specialization.
Let's have a look at the variety of the modules which have been developed with the help of leading experts from all over the country.
To begin with, we will have a special module as Chem News, which will bring the latest news to you from the world of chemistry.
The modules entitled Chem Talks will focus on the latest development as well as new and emerging areas of chemistry.
In the Chem Safe Lab modules, we will focus on various measures to be taken to prevent accidents in our chemistry lab.
In the module on Chem Nobel laureates, this time we will be focusing on life and contributions of Ernest Rutherford.
Through the modules titled Chem Pedagogy, we will highlight on improving curriculum development and question paper setting.
You will all agree that there are many difficult topics in chemistry. In the modules entitled Chem Simplified, we will take some of these topics and explain them in a very simple way. So you can see how well these are prepared. And we had the leading experts. And, there are such programs in every discipline. So that is the point, how the things are changing. And then, ICT has also brought about new pedagogical innovations. That is also something very important. Normally we teach by talk and chalk method. This method is good, but it has some limitations. For example, it is a teacher-centric approach, mainly a monologue method. Many complex concepts cannot be explained on the board. It presumes that all students learn in an identical fashion. You can't solve many problems in the class due to the paucity of time, and then it is slow and time consuming. And now new pedagogies have come, new way of teaching, blended learning, and one which is becoming very, very popular is flipped classroom model. Why flipped classroom model is a new, talk of the town, I would say, because in the traditional model, a teacher delivers a lecture in the class and then gives some homework activities to the students. But in the flipped model, the teacher gives a video on any topic to the students to be watched at home. And then next day in the class, they discuss that video in the presence of other students. And this is a model which has become very popular since 2012. These are the two teachers, chemistry teachers of United States, who developed this model. How this model will work, basically one has to keep it in mind that learning is a 6-level hierarchy. Learning starts from remembering, then understanding, applying, and goes up to creating. So that is the going from lower order thinking skill to higher order thinking skills. Now, in the traditional model, remembering and understanding is done in the class by the teacher itself, because the teacher introduces the topic. And for higher order thinking skills, students are left to do the things on their own. But in the flipped model, remembering and understanding is done outside the class at home by the students using the video which the teacher gives. They watch it once, twice, understand what are the problems. And then next day in the class, they discuss that video with the teacher in the presence of all students. And this helps inculcate higher order thinking skills. So you can say that in the flipped model, learning usually done in the classroom becomes homework, and homework usually done at home becomes classwork. That's the difference. Why we are not able to achieve creativity? Because in our classroom teaching, focus is mainly on developing lower order thinking skills, remembering, understanding, and applying. We are never able to go to highest order thinking skill. That's the problem. This is my article on flipped classroom in Times of India. This is in Education Times. And this is another article on flipped classroom. Please remember, if we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, we are going to rob them of tomorrow. So we have to change. We have to change. We are approaching a time when we need technology in every classroom and in every student and teacher's hand, because it is the pen and paper of our time, and it is the lens through which we experience much of our world. So we need to embrace technology, adopt these new pedagogies. So this is going to be a big challenge for all of you. And now I come to the new roles of teachers in the 21st century. Roles of the teachers are going to change significantly in the 21st century. You need to become tech savvy in ICT skills. You need to manage virtual classroom and discussion forum, because if there are students enrolled in MOOCs all over the country, and if they have some queries, who will answer? Or if they want to discuss something, who will do that? So you should learn how to manage all this virtually. And then you should also be proficient in the development of e-content and MOOCs. We have developed so many MOOCs and people are developing, but I have noticed that many of our colleagues are not very good in writing skills. They might have been teaching that topic for a long time, but when the question comes of writing, they are not able to do. So we need to improve our writing skills. And these are the skills which all of you need to have for success in the 21st century. Critical thinking for yourself, then adaptability to technology, then excellent communication skills, cultural understanding. Because of internet and all that, the world is becoming a global village. So if you want to interact with the people, you should have cultural understanding. And then you should also have the initiative and drive to compete in this global village. These 5 skills are very, very important. Now I come to another challenge, and that is India and Education 4. India is very soon going to enter an era of Education 4.0. 4.0 means total technology mediated education. World is presently witnessing 4th industrial revolution. First was based on steam, then electricity, then computing, and present 4th industrial revolution is based on cyber physical systems, artificial intelligence, disruptive technologies. So Education 4.0 is the education system aligned with the needs of Industrial Revolution 4. What type of skill set we need, what type of graduates we should produce. This was my article about Education 4.0 in Education Times. These are the technologies of the future: artificial intelligence, robotics, virtual reality, Internet of Things. Then you have augmented reality, data science, gamification, machine learning. These are going to be the future technologies. So we have to be ready to embrace them. And one more thing which is going to come in the years to come is personalized learning. See, talk and chalk method is teacher-centric. MOOCs is also something like one size fits all delivery. But in future, we are going to have personalized learning for you as per your requirements. And artificial intelligence is going to be used in that. We already have a scheme of the Government of India, NEET, National Educational Alliance for Technology. I am a part of this scheme of the Government of India. Here we are using artificial intelligence to make learning more personalized and customized as per the requirements of the learners. Then artificial intelligence is also going to come in examination. Adaptive assessments would be there. Then algorithms will replace mentors. Exams may be at your doorsteps. Digital invigilation will replace physical invigilation, and there will be digital attendance. So everything remotely controlled. This is a good report. Exams may move to bedroom, but invigilator would still be watching, because there will be an artificial intelligence proctor which will keep a watch on your every movement. And image recognition technique will ensure that the right person is taking the exam. And then gamification is going to come in a big way. Gamification is based on the theory that students will be more engaged with the learning process and attain greater academic success if learning is based on gaming concepts. What are the gaming concepts? Competition, incentives, and goal attainment. That is what you do in a game. So many e-learning games are going to be available both for individuals as well as for teams, and they will help in promoting education. So you can see how education scenario is going to change in the 21st century. So you should be ready to face all that. All this, looks rather like a magic. Nobody would have thought 10 years back that all this would be possible, but things are changing. And in this, there must be a fear in your mind that whether technology will replace teachers Please remember, technology is not going to replace teachers, but technology in the hands of teachers will probably replace those teachers who do not use technology. So you have to become tech savvy. Technology will never replace great teachers, but technology in the hands of great teachers can be transformational. This is my report in Times of India about technology. So we are approaching the time where we need to introduce digital curriculum in our education system, which should be compulsory for everybody, with a focus on digital skills, competencies, and fluencies. In any course you may take admission, digital curriculum should be compulsory, so that when the students come out of the education system, they are already tech savvy. So that is how it is going to be. So the message for all of you is that technology is not one thing. Technology in education is also a journey and not a destination. Earlier, there was no technology, then came ICT, and now in future, we are going to have disruptive technologies, new artificial intelligence, etc. So the message for you is never stop learning. That's the message. And, in your achieving excellence in higher education, role of academic leadership is very important. Because, without the appropriate leadership, the institution is like a ship without a rudder. It will become directionless and ultimately sink with all the passengers. So a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. So we need to have such leaders in our academic institutions who are futuristic, who have a vision. Please remember, everybody has some gifts and talents. A good leader should know how to harness them towards the same goal. This is very important. A leader should remember that before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. But once you are a leader, success is all about growing others. You should take pride in the growth of your colleagues, your younger colleagues. Give them encouragement, give them appreciation, because a person who feels appreciated will always do much more than what is expected. It's a psychological treatment. You do that. Now, having said, I've told you now what I mean by excellence in higher education and all the challenges which exist in the 21st century. In such a scenario, then how to excel? This is what I have said. This is the minimum you need: sound knowledge, pedagogy, creativity. This I have told: communication and presentation, tech savvy, writing skills, proactive personality is very important. Now I will come to the personality part. Because without personality, you will not be able to achieve success. Please keep that thing in mind. Let me tell you also what's the difference between personality and character. Personality is who we are and what we do when everybody is watching. Whereas character is who we are and what we do when nobody is watching. So it's deep-rooted, your values, your all thinking. It's something like this, character is, personality is outward. What looks like and character is below. Roots are in character. So some of the tips I want to share with you based on my experiences of life, that these things you should have. Be proactive. If you are proactive, you focus on preparing. If you are reactive, you focus on repairing. So try to be proactive. Proactive people don't wait for the ship to come in. They swim out to it. Then have your priorities in life. This is very, very important. And for this, you please just watch this video.
Good afternoon, everyone. We all have this one life to live. A fleeting shadow amongst all that exists in this vast universe. We have the ability to accomplish anything, truly anything, if we use our time wisely. Is this jar full? Yes. And is it full now? Yes. And how about now? Is the jar full now? Yes. Yeah, it is. Now, I want you to recognize that this jar represents your life. Golf balls are the important things, your family, your friends, your health, and your passions. The pebbles are the other important things, your car, your job, your home. And the sand is everything else. It's just the small stuff. Now, if you put the sand in the jar first, you won't have room for the pebbles or the golf balls. And the same is true in life. If you spend all your energy and your time on the small stuff, you won't have time for all the really important things that matter to you. Pay attention to the things that are critical to your happiness. Take care of the golf balls first, the really important things. Set your priorities, because everything else is just sand. Yes.
Professor, what does the beer represent?
I'm glad you asked. It goes to show that no matter how full your life may seem to be, there's always room for a couple of beers with a friend.
Another is self-belief. You know, it's a very famous quote. A bird sitting on a tree is never afraid of the branch breaking because her trust is not in the branch, but in her own wings. So if you want to be successful in life, you have to believe in yourself. This is the first condition which you should have. And then, you know, whatsoever you want, try to go to the top, excel in that. You know, it's said a penguin can never be a giraffe. So try to be the best penguin you can be. That's the message. Then self-discipline is another thing. Self-discipline, I mean the mastery of your thoughts. If you don't control what you think, you can't control what you do. Because your thoughts give rise to words, then actions, habits, and ultimately destiny. So starting point is thoughts. If you can learn self-control, you can master anything. That's what I mean. Because ultimately, everybody will have to choose one of the two pains, either the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The choice is yours. Then work hard sensibly. People sometimes work very hard, but without any direction, without any strategy. That you should not do. If you want to become extraordinary, try to work very hard. Try to be extraordinary. Don't be like one in the crowd. Being one in the crowd is just like a mediocrity. Come to the top. Work with a strong willpower and bulldog determination. And let me tell you, world will be at your feet. A diamond is merely a lump of coal, but that did well under pressure. You know, I always say, work so hard that one day your signature will be called an autograph. Try to do that. And you can't climb the ladder of success with your hands in your pockets. You have to make efforts. You may have many resources, you may have so much But if you do not know how to use them, again, it's of no avail. So all requires a good understanding of the thing and proper direction, because direction is more important than speed. Growth mindset is another thing you should have. You know, there is nothing in this world that can trouble you more than your own thoughts. It's said that the heaviest burdens that we carry are the thoughts in our head. So try to have the growth mindset. Just watch this small again video. It will, sorry.
How heavy is this glass of water? Melissa, would you care to answer?
8 ounces,
12 ounces?
16 ounces.
The absolute weight of the glass doesn't matter. It depends on how long I hold on to it. If I hold it for a minute, nothing happens. If I hold it for an hour, my arm will begin to ache. If I hold it all day long, my arm will feel numb and paralyzed. Well, the weight of the glass hasn't changed, but the longer I hold on to it, the heavier it becomes. The stresses and the worries of life are like this glass of water. If you think about them for a little while, there's no problem. Think about it for a little bit longer, it begins to hurt. You think about them all day long, and you'll feel paralyzed, incapable of doing anything. Always remember, put the glass down.
Yes. Then, you know, you should come out of your comfort zone, because life actually begins at the end of your comfort zone. Positive thinkers have a solution for every problem, and negative thinkers have a problem for every solution. You know that. So stay positive. Be confident and honest to yourself. You don't need to tell to the world that you are very honest. Nothing that won't work. No hypocrisy. Another thing. My advice to you is be the same person privately, publicly, and personally. And then overcome fear of failure. You know, it's a very famous quote. जब तक तुम डरते रहोगे, तुम्हारी जिंदगी के फैसले कोई और लेता रहेगा. So overcome that. You know, there is a famous Chanakya quote: as soon as the fear approaches near you, attack and destroy it. Don't let it overpower you. And these days, people are talking about embracing your failure. They have a failure resume on their web page where they write about the jobs they could not get or the awards they could not win. They keep on reading it and don't make the mistake again, or try to improve themselves. Failures can be the pillars of success. Depends upon how you take your failure. Failures can be taken as stepping stones to success. Your attitude towards failure determines your altitude after failure. Please keep this quote in mind. Then be resilient. Resilient means failures often happen in everybody's life, but then you should come back. So resilience is the ability of each one of us to bounce back stronger, wiser, and more personally powerful. This quality you should have, because setbacks will occur in everybody's life. When we learn how to become resilient, we learn how to embrace the beautifully broad spectrum of the human experience. One small crack does not mean that you are broken. It means that you were put to the test and you did not fall apart. That's how you should take it. No to worries is another advice to you. You know, worry is a misuse of your imagination. We sometimes suffer more in imagination than some worries are over, they will find some new worries to worry about. So they will keep on worrying. You should change this. One day in life, you will look back and realize that you worried too much about things that don't really matter in life. But by that time would have gone. Don't do that. Networking is also very important in life if you want to excel. You know, it said networking helps you in success. There are books on networking because it is said that the opposite of networking is you are not working. So try to have good contacts, try to build people, be honest and sincere in your contacts. You should not only use them, but help each other. This networking can help you a lot in your life. And then learn to say no and choose your words carefully. In life, you know, learn the art of saying no. Don't lie, don't make excuses, don't over-explain yourself. Just simply decline, that's all. You can be a good person with a kind heart and still say no. You don't have to be a bad person only for saying no. And before you speak, let your words pass through 3 gates. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Only then you should speak. Otherwise, control. Because, you know, no one can touch words, but words do touch one's heart and soul. We are the master of our unspoken words and slave of our spoken words. So speak only when your words are more beautiful than your silence. This is very, very important. You know, if you imbibe these qualities, these will help you in taking you to greater heights in life. Notice a Hindi quote, शब्दों की ताकत को कभी मत आंकिए साहब, क्योंकि एक छोटा सा हाँ और एक छोटा सा ना पूरी जिंदगी बदल देता है. Control your anger. Anger is a normal reaction that makes your mouth act quicker than your brain. But what is more important is think, take a deep breath and think before you speak. Never say mean words out of anger. Your anger will pass, but your mean words can scare a person for life. So use your kind words or be silent. This is something which I followed later on. Never reply when you are angry. Never make a promise when you are happy. And never make a decision when you are sad. Whether it's said when you are angry, count up to 10 before you speak. And if you are very, very angry, count up to 100. Things will cool down. Time management is another thing you have to keep it in mind. You know, this is the most important tip. Everybody gets 24 hours a day. The secret to your success is ultimately how you manage your time in the light of your priorities. So please remember, today is the tomorrow you worried about yesterday. So be careful. Time management is life management. You know, it's said, this is the key to time management, to see the value of every moment. बंधी हैं हाथ पर सबके घड़ियां, मगर पकड़ में किसी के एक लम्हा भी नहीं. So please keep this in mind. So time is so precious. Make sure that you spend it with the right people. And one more thing which I want to share with you is that live in the moment. The present moment is the only moment available to us. And it is the door to all moments. वक्त दिखाई नहीं देता मगर दिखा बहुत कुछ देता है. Life becomes more meaningful when you realize the simple fact that you will never get the same moment again. So be very, very careful. Let's live in the moment. Don't think too much ahead. Past is gone, all that. You know, this is a live in the moment. I'm sure this conveys it. खूबसूरत चेहरा भी बूढ़ा हो जाता है. To prove it. One day you will wake up and there won't be any more time to do the things you have always wanted. Do it now. You know, look at these people, how they changed with time. Look at this. समय की धारा में, समय की धारा में, उम्र बह जानी है, जो घड़ी जी लेंगे, वो जो घड़ी जी लेंगे, वही रह जानी है. So, at the end, I would say, challenge yourself. Because at the end of the day, your biggest competition is you only. You should not let your mind become, you should be the master of your mind. You should not become the puppet of your mind. So that's a challenge before you. Your performance will increase because, performance formula is potential minus interference. All the negative things which I told, they will ultimately increase your interference. And then your performance will accordingly reduce. Don't let that happen. You don't have the problem. You are the problem ultimately. So change yourself and things will change for you. It said, स्वर्ग भी तू है, नर्क भी तू है, इन दोनों का फर्क भी तू है. जिंदगी छोटी नहीं होती है, लोग जीना ही देरी से शुरू करते हैं. जब तक रास्ते समझ में आते हैं, तब तक लौटने का वक्त हो जाता है. So don't let it happen.
सुनो गजर क्या गाए, समय गुजरता जाए, और जीने वाले और भोले भाले सोना ना, होना ना.
सुनो गजर क्या गाए, समय गुजरता जाए.
जीवन कहीं भी ठहरता नहीं, है, जीवन कहीं भी ठहरता नहीं है, आंधी से तूफान से डरता नहीं है, तू न चलेगा तो चल देंगी राहें, तू न चलेगा तो चल देंगी राहें, मंजिल को तरसेंगी तेरी निगाहें, तुझको चलना.
And please remember, once you have experienced excellence, you will never again be content with mediocrity. So do experience that. And please remember, it's never too late to be what you might have been. Change your life today, from today onwards. You will see how the life changes and you are able to reach to the top. This is our report about MOOCs in Times of India. This is about our chemistry programs. This is my article about SWAM platform. This is my editorial on the world of e-learning in Times of India. This is about the end of talk and chalk regime. It's mainly focusing on our work. This is about UGC MOOCs with a focus on our work in Hindustan Times. This is my another article about why the Indian education system must focus on innovating its teaching approach and then using ICT creatively in higher education. This is my article for chemistry people. This is chemistry education in the 21st century. And this is a very recent article, ICT for quality education in India. So this came in the very popular magazine Science Reporter. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have told you that what all you need for achieving excellence in higher education in India. I sometimes feel when we were young, nobody told us. I became lecturer in Delhi University when I was not even 21 years old. But then we had to struggle. We have to find your own way. But I wanted this to be told to you so that you know what are the various challenges, how you should focus on your personality and all that. And please, manage your life very well. You have got only one life. And if you manage it well, I think one is more than enough. And then I also wanted to tell you that how these audios, videos, etc. can enhance the impact of a lecture. Because the theme of your faculty development program is media and art in teaching and learning. So you can see you have to choose right media, what newspaper or videos or songs or all that, fitting them. But the most important thing is your thought process. All these are very important. And once you do that, you can yourself see how much difference it can make. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. And this is my cell number. This is my email ID. Please give me your feedback and please remain in touch. All the best for your this. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Next, we have the open interaction session. You can ask your doubts to Bakshi, sir.
Sir, really it was a wonderful session. Thank you for your inspiring talk in a systematic way. We are seeing an excellent and a dedicated teacher, a researcher, and an administrator behind those presentations. Sir,
who is speaking? May I know, introduce yourself also, please.
Sorry, sir. I am Suresh Chandra from College, Thiruvananthapuram.
Hello.
Mahatma Gandhi College, Thiruvananthapuram.
Okay.
Sir, in your talk, you mentioned that the students enter into kindergarten with an entry behavior which is not unique.
Hello,
Sir. Is it
voice is breaking. Would you speak again?
Sir, in your talk, you mentioned that students enter into kindergarten with an entry behavior which is not unique. After the completion of 20 or 23 years of learning, their exit behavior is somewhat different. That is about 90% with a unique pattern of thinking. Who is responsible for this pathetic condition? 72 years after independence, we are facing so many educational crises and impediments which adversely affect our national development. Sir, can you suggest? Sir, can you suggest some responsible authorities for these situations?
I think the message from that report was that when the children enter kindergarten, 98% of them think different. But once they go through the education system at the age of 25, when they come out, they 98% think alike. That means we have always been giving ready-made answers to them.
Is it a good?
We never encouraged inquisitiveness. We never encouraged curiosity. And they also accepted it because their aim was to score very high in the examination and go to higher class. But in this entire process, their creativity was being destroyed. Therefore, we all are responsible for that. Teachers, I mean.
Sir, whether teachers or policy or curriculum or transaction strategy, or all are responsible. Is it right,
all
sir?
are responsible, but you as teachers can do a lot. Okay, that is what I said, because I did not have much time, but this flipped classroom model is a new model which you can adopt, and many people have started adopting it. You prepare 10 to 15 minutes video on any topic which you teach, give to your students, let them watch that video, and next day you discuss that video, and then set various questions relating to that 6-order, 6-level hierarchy I said, starting from remembering, understanding, application, evaluating, analyzing, and creating. Set such questions. And once this is made a habit, and if it is done in every course, students will start thinking out of the box. They will come out with new ideas. That is what I mean when I say that innovation and out-of-box thinking need to be nurtured in our students. That's the purpose of that. But then teachers are also not able to do that because they themselves have come out of the same education system. Therefore, we need to change. Somewhere we need to make a change. We need to build such question banks containing questions of different difficulty level corresponding to each thinking skill. And now many people have started doing it. Because otherwise, what we are doing, after all, you should ask a question, why do we do the teaching? After all, why do we teach? Why do we teach? Maybe 10, 15, 20 years back, students did not have the entire information, but now we are living in a digital age. Anything is available just by the click of a mouse. They can learn on their own also. So until and unless you make them think, training of the mind to think, their purpose is defeated.
Okay, sir. You introduced gamification in education.
Hello?
Very interesting.
No, voice is not clear.
Okay, you introduced the gamification in education. That is very interesting. Sir,
Hello? Hello?
Education policy is a solution for this situation.
No, I introduced gamification, and it is going to be, people are preparing new types of games. Through games, you learn many concepts.
Yeah.
We have to change our teaching methodology. And it is the responsibility of all of you.
It is a really good strategy, sir.
First of all, you yourself should have a good knowledge of the subject. Many of our teachers themselves are not very clear about the concepts, because a good teacher is one who knows the subject very well. His teaching should reflect the amount of thinking you have done on the subject. Then before going to the class, you should think of all the questions which can arise in a student's mind relating to what you are going to teach, and think of them and present them in a very systematic and logical manner. There are many teachers who are full of knowledge, but when they go to the class, they confuse the students. You have to restrain yourself, start in a very systematic and logical manner, and build it slowly. Unfortunately, in our higher education system, teachers are given no training to teach. You just do MSc or MA or PhD and net qualification, and then you enter the profession with no formal training.
Thank you, sir.
So we need to change all that. That is why, the purpose why I came for this talk was primarily this, that tell you where you stand and how we can improve.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes. Please introduce yourself.
Sir, I'm Mary. I'm Mary, the one who introduced you, who welcomed you to the session.
Okay.
Sir, we see a lot of advertisement on TV right now about programs like educational programs like what is that? Oh my God, what is that? Those interactive classroom sessions that they have. I keep forgetting the name. Do you think they are what you say, the solution to future learning? Programs like 90 plus, and there are many such educative programs. There's one that the one which Shah Rukh Khan introduces.
Baiju.
Yeah. Yes, sir. The Byju's app. Things like that. Do you think they are the solutions to future learning?
No, I have not seen, but these Baju's classes are, I think, only for the school level, and they claim that the best teachers are teaching. I have never attended. Anybody may do teaching, but if a teacher can make you think, therein lies the success of a teacher. And then please, we will not be able to improve if you do not change your system of assessment. It will not. You see, if I ask in my university, my teacher to set up a question paper, they will take last 3-4 years question paper and set the 4th year question paper. That's not the purpose. Well, fixed question, describe this, how you explain this. Well set question. They hardly need any thinking. Any person who has done last few years papers, he will be able to answer. So we are spoiling the system. In many countries where there is an open book examination, what is the secret? Secret is that the questions are like that even if all books are open before you, you will not be able to answer unless you have thought over and you have a good understanding. So, you should remember that you are the pivot of the education system. We cannot improve unless you change the way the education is imparted. It's very important. But then, the problem is you teachers are also the product of the same system. You were also taught in that way. So we are not able to break that shackles. That's the problem. That's why, we are moving in that vicious circle and India is not able to achieve much. I mean, there are some universities, some colleges where people are very good, but in general, I am talking. We need to improve the quality of education. Quality is here because somebody very rightly said that the future of the country is built in the classroom. And what is our classroom? We deliver a lecture and then set a question paper, which requires rote learning. They do, and then rote learning they forget, because rote learning is not a sustainable learning. After the exams are over, everybody forgets what they learned. What's the point?
Exactly.
So we need to fundamentally change. I wanted, maybe I don't have time, but I wanted to tell you how assessment can be changed by using the flipped classroom in detail. I will see if there is a possibility, some other platform. I will deliver a talk on that, how through assessment, the quality of education can be improved. That it is.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
That would be very useful, sir. Thank you.
But let's see now. I think I have already taken somebody's time and delivered this talk, because why I came for this talk? I was in the inaugural and delivering that address, but I thought, let me share with young colleagues. You are so many of them, let them be told that where they need to improve. And that's why I offered myself that I would like to deliver a talk. I hope it was useful for you.
It was very useful, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. It was very, very, very informative.
Now, sir, could you hear me?
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please speak.
Sir, myself is Dr. Sundakrishnan from Trivandrum. Sir, could you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, it is an excellent class, sir, because you presented in a nice way, and I think you gained the objective what you want to. And I think this class might have been in 2 sessions, because it is so vital, and you were just running points after points. So if there is one more session, that may be good. Anyhow, I first of all, I would like to congratulate you. And next one is that, sir, we are living in India. See, this is not a negative query, but still I want to say that, see, as the education is in the public sector, there are infrastructural problems are there in many of the colleges, at least where I am living. So definitely we need this kind of transformations or changes, but still financial restraints and infrastructure facilities are a kind of a check to all this. So without which we cannot improve greatly. I think the persons like you have to interfere in the policy making and have to advise them to spend some more in this kind of sectors. Otherwise, we cannot improve radically in this field, sir. I think.
Great. No, I am a member of the National Committee, which is developing school curriculum 11th, 12th. So we are trying to work on how best we can do. I've been also the author of NCERT chemistry books 11th and 12th. And now under the new education policy, I am again a member of the National Committee. So we are still working. But the biggest challenge is how to change the teachers. Now there are 1.5 million teachers. How to change them? There needs to be professional development programs so frequently. That's that's the problem which is coming. And now even I am a member of another committee which is working on the fact that before teachers join job in higher education institution, there should be a training given to them as to how to teach. How to teach. They need to be told. Merely having knowledge is not enough. You look at MSc, PhD, MA, whatsoever you do, little bit research skill, even NET examination tests your domain knowledge. But how to convey the long knowledge, how to present your ideas in a very systematic and logical manner. Because the way you speak, that manifests the way you think. So your thinking has to be very systematic and logical. So how to develop that? So we are already working on something that in future teachers may have to do some 3 or 6 months course and qualify, and then before they enter the teaching profession. Quite possible. You know, it's teaching is not a easy thing. It should not be taken that anybody and everybody can teach. No. I think we are under the bad impression. Now look at even this presentation today. This had about 250 slides. Just imagine. And it's not a ready-made. I had to start from scratch, how to build, how to link, what to come where, what code, what video. It's not easy. And I agree with somebody's suggestion that this would have been excellent had it been in 2 parts. Because little bit, I was also little bit in a hurry and I missed a few slides in between. But then it was a question of time. But then what I want to tell you is even presenting this one lecture is not an easy thing. It's not that anybody can come and speak and go. Because you have to be a role model for your learners. Yes, they not only learn from the content, but they should also learn how to present the content. Making a slide is not easy. And even if that is easy, but who will decide the content? You have to decide the content, and that's not very easy. You have to do a lot of research. Don't you agree? So all these things are very, very important.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Jayakumar, anything else?
Thank
you. Sir, in learning hierarchy, remembering and understanding takes place in traditional classroom.
Yes.
And these are in the new classroom. These are take place in outside the classroom. That is the new idea I got from you, sir. I want to please explain some more in that context.
You know, only thing which I wanted to tell was that in the flipped classroom model, a teacher will give a 10-minute or 15-minute video to the student, and the student will watch that video at home. Student may watch it once, twice, 3 times, note down what are the things he has understood, what are the things which he or she has not understood, note down all the points, what are the questions. So a student has to do a lot of homework. And once he goes through the video 2-3 times, he is fairly having a good idea, yes, what this video is. And then next day in the class, when you discuss, the foundations are already there. So you go to higher order thinking skill. And here the role of the teacher becomes very important. If teacher himself or herself is not competent, he will not be able to take the students to higher order thinking skills. So ultimately things will depend upon the teacher. Even the video which the teacher gives, he or she will have to develop that video. So what is the quality of the video? That is also a challenge. So ultimately everything boils down to teacher. And you cannot change them overnight. You have to slowly train. That's what I feel.
Thank you, sir.
The teacher want more freedom to convey ideas and fix curriculum and other thing. There is no freedom in our educational policy, sir.
Yes, that I agree. But then I think our curriculums are very, very heavy. I remember I myself wrote NCERT class 11th and 12th book, chemistry book, in class 11th and 12th taken together in NCERT book, there are 30 chapters. So much chemistry, as if chemistry is going to end after that. Why should we have that? You know, and a teacher at school level is not able to do justice with all the chapters of that course. Once students do not understand, teacher is not able to do justice, what happens? Students start mugging up the things, rote learning. And then there is a limit to rote learning. And then ultimately a stage comes when students start hating the subject. We make them run away from the topic. So that's what ultimately we are trying to do. I think we need to have the best minds should come to the teaching profession. We need to make this profession more attractive. Just as the best minds sometimes go to IAS. Yes, very bright people go. Why not? They should come to the teaching profession also. Because here you are building the future of the country. Teaching is the profession which creates all other professions. So you can very well imagine how responsible is your position.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
I think we can conclude the session.
Pardon?
We can conclude the session, sir.
Sure.
Sasha teacher, please.
Please, you can. Somebody is speaking.
Yes. Am I audible?
Yes. Be louder.
Okay, sir. Okay. Hello, everyone. Hello, sir. Hello, everyone. Actually,
very feeble, Sasha. Bit louder.
Okay. I'm really honored to get this opportunity and being a part of this session of such a erudite scholar who has brought a wonderful achievement in his career and also the field of education. Really grateful to you, sir. Actually, it was a wonderful session. The way you have become your session is very wonderful, inspirational thoughts, because those inspirational thoughts made us to think again and again on it, and also those couple of videos you have presented. Actually, we all are teaching from you how to do a wonderful class. It was really wonderful.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay, so actually this new education policy that gives importance to technology and online classes, technical, all those kinds of things. But yes, even all of us are even challenging this pandemic era, this COVID itself, and we all are doing this online courses, and we all are teaching, especially the teachers of Kerala. We all are, without any breaks, without anything, we all are teaching our kids through online mode. But the issue is that there are a number of minority kids who are not able to access. They don't have access to this internet or new kinds of these all kinds of kids gathered, and those kinds of kids will be created in this scenario, or these kinds of education, in this kind of education. Anyway, let's hope for a wonderful time that will also be solved one day. And actually, I'm really grateful to you, sir. It was a wonderful session.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And also, I'm thanking Bishop Moore College, the organizers, who have given me this wonderful opportunity for this opportunity, and also my beloved colleagues who have attended and being a part of this session. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Once again, we thank you, Bachchi sir, from our heart for the valuable time.
No, it was a pleasure interacting with you, and